Hey guys, welcome to this video, and I want to share with you guys how to make a sign-in app using Firebase Authentication. So in this tutorial, we're going to go over how to make a sign-in app in Vue3 with Google sign-in, Twitter sign-in, and GitHub sign-in. There's other social media sign-ins as well. The full list can be if we go to Firebase console. I'll show you all of the authentication that's available. If we go to my project and authentication, we can go to sign-in methods and add a new provider. So we have email, password standard, Google, Facebook, Play Games, Google, Android Play Games, GitHub, Yahoo, and all these ones here. And we can once the Google sign-in one is kind of integrated into Firebase, so it's the most, well, it's not the simplest, but it's fairly straightforward. And then Twitter sign-in and GitHub sign-in and all the other social media sign-ins, you just have to follow a little bit extra instructions, and you can do that as well. So I'll go over the Firebase documentation on how to do this, and we'll start with Google sign-in, and I'll show you how the app works. Simply, if we type in Google sign-in, I'm already logged into Google on Google Chrome, so I'm going to just click one of these, relaxation music. And I'm logging to relaxation music, log out, sign into this one, and I'm logging here. Please don't send me any spam, that kind of suck. And then we have Twitter sign in. If I log into Twitter, I'm already signed in, so it's gonna automatically sign in. But if I log out, if I go to Twitter and I log out of my Twitter, come back here, then log in. Then it asks me for authentication, sign in, and there you have it, it's working. And GitHub sign-in, same thing, except it's not gonna work, and I'll show you guys why. I have the console error showing here why it's not working, and we get an error of authentication account exists with a different credential. Basically what that means is the same email address is with another account is already being used, because I'm using simon.j.sh@gmail.com for my GitHub account. That's my GitHub email address, and I'm also using that in here in my Google sign-in, so that's why it's conflicting. And if we go to the documentation here, we have already enabled the one account per email address setting, and it's showing that this error shows up when we have multiple different accounts with the same email address trying to log in. So there's the way to handle this. You can code it so that you can code the logic so that it combines the different accounts from the same email addresses into one. But we're not going to cover that in this tutorial. That's a little bit beyond the scope of this tutorial, but I'm sure you can figure it out. Documentation is right here. You can go to this address, and yeah, so let's get started into this tutorial and see how things pan out. Hey guys, welcome back. So I'm going to, in this part of the tutorial, show you guys how to create the Google sign-in part using Firebase. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and use Vue create and create a new project. I'm going to call it practice 12. And as soon as that's done, select Vue3. And as soon as this is done, I'll be right back. Okay, so I have the project Vue, new Vue project created, so I'm going to go ahead and open the folder. And run npm run serve. So the first thing we're going to do is look at the documentation. And the first step we have to do is install Firebase. So let's go ahead and install Firebase, add Firebase.javascript, and we have to run npm install Firebase. So let's do that. Create a new terminal and npm install Firebase. Actually, I'm just going to delete this terminal since we're installing something new. So So let's go back to our documentation, and we have to import initialize Firebase app. So let's do that. Let's copy all of this, since we need the Firebase config file configuration as well. So let's go back to our file, and in source folder, we're going to create a new file called Firebase config.js, and here we're going to copy and paste it. So we have to have the configuration data. So let's go back to our configuration. We need the let's go to console. We need the configuration file. So let's go ahead and create it. I already created it, but I'll just create a new one just to show you guys how it's done. So Vue3 social login practice 12. And continue. Select an account. I'm just gonna use my email address. Continue, and let's go to web and create, let's name this one 12. Oops. Let's just name it practice 12. So we did this part, now we have this part. So we can copy it from here, or we can just continue to console, and I think we go to project settings and we go down here, and it's right here. So let's copy this configuration part and go back to our app and paste that right in here. And let's export everything. So we do export default Firebase app. Next we go to let's just go to app view and just change this title to Vue3 social login app practice 12 practice. Then let's open up our hello world view, since it's using the hello world component. So in our hello world component, we're going to go ahead and delete everything right here. So delete all that. And let's go ahead and npm run serve this to see what we got. So npm run serve. Now let's open up localhost. So that's what we have. And we want to go ahead and, oops, why is that not working? Let's move that right there. And we can move this right over here. And let's go ahead and create a user variable. So let's go to export default here in the scripts tag, and data return user blank username, and let's say is signed in is going to start out as false. So if we go back to our app, let's go ahead and create a user name, signed in user, and it should say blank. There you go. And then we want to only show this if user is defined. So if user is defined, and if we then make this blank, then it should disappear because there's no user defined. So that's how that works. If we type something back here, then we have something there, and if we delete that back, then it disappears. And then I'm going to go ahead and create the sign out button. Let's see, signed out. So I'm going to go over here and sign out button, so div ID log out. If signed in is true, then we want to not show this button, so log out. So the log out button is shown only, so if this is true, if signed in is true, then log out is false. Then the log out button, is that how it works? Log out button is not working. If I do true here, it shows if signed in is true, then the log out button is false, and the log out button shows up, and if nobody is signed in, then the log out button does not show. So that's how that works, and we'll create this click method in a short while. We're also going to create the signed in for Google button. So Google sign in ID, and then if signed in is false, then we want to show in the login option. So we have to handle Google sign in as the click handler, and then Google sign in header, and then the login button here, as you can see. Then I'm going to do the same thing for Twitter. Twitter sign in is true. If it's signed in is false, then show in the login button. Then the handle sign in Twitter, and then the same thing for the GitHub one. Now we're going to just do Google sign in, Twitter, and GitHub, but once you do these, the other social media logins will be fairly straightforward. You can just read the documentation. So I'm just doing these three as demonstration. And right now we're doing the Google sign in one. So we want to, let's create the handle signing Google option here. Let's create that method, and we're going to create a method. So let's put a comma there and do methods. Oh, that's not right. This is how you do it. And we're going to create a method here for the Google sign in. So right now, if we click on it, nothing happens. But if we go to Google sign in Firebase, we can't authenticate using Google sign in. We want to have import Google provider auth. So let's do that, I think, right over here. And we want to utilize this const variable as a provider using the provider Google Auth provider. Name it as variable provider. And then these are all optional steps, but number 5, we have to go down here and we have to add in get auth. So let's add that right there. And we have to add in sign up with pop-up. So we're using these as software toolkits, I guess, software dev kits. We're using these options here. I'm not sure what the correct name label for that is. And we have to so in the get auth part, we have to add this to get auth, const get auth. So add that right there. And this part we add in to the handle sign in portion. So let's properly format that, and we're not going to use any of these. We're not going to use this. We're not going to use this. We're not going to use that. And here we're just going to do console.log error if we have an error, so that works. and credential format, so we don't need this either. So we're going to go ahead and console log result just to show you guys what we have. So we go back here, we have an error. Console log, Firebase app default has not been set. So let's go ahead and import our Firebase. We have to import the exported Firebase app right here. So let's do that. So import Firebase config, Firebase config from Firebase config. And we have an error saying module not found. Let's see, port. I think we have to go up a folder. And now Firebase config is defined but never used. Okay, so now we're correct. So we just have to, I'm not sure if this is the right way to do it, but I'm going to, since it says it's defined but never used, what I do is I have to just put it there so that sort of initializes it, I suppose. And then Firebase app, this is assigned but never used. Let's change this to Firebase app. And now we have it, we're exporting it correctly here, and now our Vue app is working. So that's how you initialize Firebase app in a Vue3 component. So if we click on login, we have another error. Let's see what it is. The current domain is unauthorized. So let's go to our authentication. Let's go to Firebase console. Let's go to number 12, practice number 12, and we go to authentication. Get started, and these are all the ones we can do. We're just going to start with Google here and enable this. Use my email address for project support email, doesn't matter too much. And go to edit, and I think that's it. So for the other ones, we have, for the Twitter, GitHub, and the other social media ones, logins, we have to enter the client ID and the client secret that we get from the Twitter or the GitHub developer API portals. But for the Google one, it's Google owns Firebase, so it's integrated straight in, so it's probably the easiest. So now if we go back to Google sign in, I think it should work. Let's try it out. Nope, it's not working. Let's see what the error is. Firebase error, auth configuration not found. Let's just refresh that. Oh, it is working. Okay, so let's try to log in there. So when we log in, we console log the result here. So result user display name, that's what we want. So let's copy property path and let's type in user result user display name. And if we do this again, it should have, let's do infotainment land, and infotainment land pops up, and yeah. So we want to assign that username to over here in the data variable. So let's do that. We're going to console log this out and say this user is equal to result.user display name. And this is signed in. It's going to be false. Oh, it's going to be true since you are signing in, so that works. So let's log in again. Let's try Simon Saw. And there you go. We have Simon Saw logged in, and then the logout button has to be worked in as well. So let's go back to authentication documentation, and sign out is right here. So we have to import. Use this toolkit, sign out toolkit, and let's just add that right in here. And this one is constant auth is already done, so we just need to copy and paste this. And we have handle sign out here, so let's copy and paste that actually and create a method for that. It's this bracket right here. So let's handle sign out and copy and paste this inside there. So console log, just copy and paste this. And sign on successful is this user is back equal to blank, and this is signed in is false. So let's go back, log in, relaxation music, and relaxation music is signed in user, log out, and we're back to logged out. So that's how you do the Google sign-in part. In the next part, I'm going to show you guys how to do the Twitter sign-in and the GitHub sign-in login methods. All right, cheers. Okay guys, so in this part we're going to do the Twitter sign-in page, Twitter sign-in login function. So right now if we log in on Twitter and GitHub, nothing works. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to documentation for Firebase, authenticate using Twitter and JavaScript. So we've already added Firebase. We're going to use Firebase console in a bit. So what we need to do is we have to first import Twitter provider from Firebase auth. So let's copy and paste that. So copy that and paste that right after Google provider here. And constant provider, we have to add this as well. So I'm just going to add in right after Google provider. We should have named this Google provider, but we're just going to leave it as is. But Twitter one, we're going to use Twitter provider like that. Then skip the optional parts and then go to authenticate here. So Twitter provider, we have to, let's create the method. So handle sign in Twitter. Let's put that right here, and then we are going to use the same thing from this. This is basically the same as this, what we use for Google provider. So I'm just going to copy and paste that. Don't need this part. And I'm going to use auth and provider Twitter, like so. And if we go back here, I'll show you guys what we have. If we go to, we have a handle sign in module build fail. I think that's because we have something. Well, we didn't copy and paste this. So that's actually incorrect code. So let's copy and paste, cut that from there and paste that in here. And I think handle set up, and we need a comma right there. So log in, and then if we go to console, and if we Twitter login, we have a Firebase authentication operation not allowed. So that's because we haven't done the API for the we haven't gone to the Twitter API, so we have to go to the Twitter application. So go to apps.twitter.com or click this link, and we have to add an app, and we're going to create a new one. And I already have a development one, so we're going to go ahead and select production. You can only have one of each for the free account, as far as I know. But whether you choose development or production doesn't really matter right now. Or actually, I think I deleted my development one or production one. Let's go with production. It really doesn't matter, but just go with that arbitrarily. So let's say Vue3 social login practice 12. Next. And then we have the API key, API secret. So let's go to our Firebase console and practice 12, and let's go ahead and go to authentication and sign in method, add a new provider, select Twitter and enable this. So we have to select, we have to copy API key, copy that in there, API secret, copy and paste that in here. And we have to copy this, so save that, and then we have to copy this part, the callback URL, and we have to go to app settings, I think. No, that's not it. Go to this one, app details. No, that's not it. Let's go to setup auth 2.0. So let's do auth 2.0. A single page app, since we're using Vue framework, and then callback URL, and then website URL. You can just type in the callback URL again. Save that. And then if we go back, I think we will get an error because that's the incorrect. No, it's working. So we go to Twitter sign in, and then we can authorize app. Logs me in and signs me in as Simon Saw. If I go back in here, let's go to Twitter and log myself out just to show you guys it works. So log myself out, log out. Twitter social login. Then I have to log back in here. Then I'm logged in as Simon Saw. Great. So that's how you do the Twitter part, and then the next part I'll show you how to do the GitHub part just for some repetition, and you can figure out how to do the social logins from there. Hey guys, welcome to this part. I'm going to show you how to do the GitHub social login. So currently when we log in, click on the login button, nothing happens for GitHub. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to authenticate using GitHub with JavaScript, and we already added Firebase. We have to go to the Firebase console, and then let's click on number practice 12, and we have to go to authentication, sign in method, add new provider, GitHub. Then we have to get the client ID, client secret, and then add the callback URL to the GitHub API, developer API. So we're going to do that. We're going to go to register your app, GitHub settings, this link right here. This is the GitHub developer API, social logins, practice 12. Then I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste this URL, homepage. It doesn't really matter. The homepage URL, we're just using local, so it doesn't really matter, but we do have to add in the callback URL. That's important. And then we have to copy and paste this client ID into the enable this, and this is the GitHub one, so copy and paste that there, and then generate a new secret key. Copy and paste this into the client secret and save. And I think that's it for the console API, and then we have to go ahead and create this method for GitHub sign-in. So let's copy and paste that right here. And I'm just going to copy and paste this part. And provider GitHub, we have to add this in, so let's we have to go down here back to the Firebase console API, and we have to add in the GitHub provider auth. So let's add that after the Twitter one, and then this part const auth is already added in here, right here, const auth. Then provider, we have to add in the provider, which we haven't done here, so let's add that right here. And I'm just going to name this provider GitHub, just to name them well. And I think we're done. GitHub provider is done right there. So let's go back to our practice app. And as I demonstrated before, it's not going to work. What's going to happen is we're going to get this authentication access request. We're going to grant access, but we're going to get auth account exists with different credentials. And if we click on, if we search that and go back to the documentation here, whoops, that's not it. Yep, that is it. We have to go to handle account with different existing credentials, handling account different. So we get the If the account exists with different credentials, account exists with different credential error. So it's because we enabled one account per email address, and we can get around this, but we're not gonna. We can combine them and have a different login prompt to combine emails under the same account. But we're not going to do that in this tutorial, but that's basically how you do it. So that I'm just explaining that's why we get the error message here of my GitHub is not working. But otherwise, if I hadn't used Google or Twitter sign-in, then these steps would allow us to log in using GitHub. So I'm just showing the error message. That's the proper prompt. So that's how you do social media logins, and I'm sure you can figure out how to do the logins for the other social media accounts, websites. So that's how you do it. I hope this tutorial helped you guys. If there's any other Vue.js related tutorials that you want to see me create, then leave a comment down in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.